Welcome to Between the Lines. We're here. It's the middle of July. It's a great Thursday night. We're going to go ahead and talk with the mayor of Roane County. We do so much in Anderson, not enough in Roane. Roane now has 53,000, I saw today, 53,900 people. And just a lot of great things going on over there. And I think we're going to talk a lot today about West Oak Ridge and what's going on and all that. They just voted unanimously to do an airport and buy the land and some other stuff. So, welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. You were here last year. I remember, Wade. You were here last year, I think during the campaigns or something.
It was.
So you've been here almost a year now?
Yeah, 10 months.
Yeah. So we do this with Terry, we do it with Warren, we do it with Chuck. We just kind of, a year and, kind of look at what the year's done and what's going on. So let's go with this. Let's ask a few questions. I started campaigning not full-time, but I mean running bigger races with me and Hank Snow sitting on the front of the courthouse. It was a long time ago, Lawnville. So 1994, I guess I came back from Pittsburgh, and that's when I started in. A lot of great people in Roane County. And I actually did a study on Roane County where we couldn't figure out why their voter participation is so high. Percentage-wise, it's higher than every county around it. Good citizens, but what I finally determined is that there are so many local communities with their own personality, they can drive votes from those centers, whereas we have Clinton and Oak Ridge and a few other areas that the percentages being so high are because Harriman and Dillis have an agenda. Rockwood, Junior was all having those days. We were doing business down there, and there's just so much going on in the parks and the recreation.
Yeah.
Biggest surprise for you, first year, or best, any way you want to take it.
Well, the position itself, I felt like I was really prepared for. It wasn't the work that was the surprise. The things that catch you by surprise are the things that nobody could have seen coming, the issues that you have to work on that just kind of come out of the blue. Things like, in the first couple months we had an issue with an engineer coming through and saying we had too many records stored on the third floor of the courthouse.
We went through that in Anderson County.
And the building was in jeopardy of falling in, so you got to address that. Or, the sheriff running into a crisis with his pay, and he's down, 9 deputies, and we're looking at more, and you've got to adjust mid-year to do those kind of things. Those are things that nobody saw coming. So it wasn't really anything in the job itself that was a surprise. It was the issues that come your way that you really can't foresee coming.
You have enough experience. Let me apologize. It's county executive in Roane County, right?
There's 16 counties across the state that call it county executive.
Everybody used to, right?
Yeah, everybody used to, and then it all changed to mayor, and then some counties by special act chose that terminology. Exact same role.
You answer to both roles. I got you. Okay. So, I think the sheriff's budget has been an issue everywhere. I mean, if you look at Anderson and and my wife is a county commissioner, and she was in the middle of, and you have Knox County, and they got into the mayor was kind of about it with the sheriff in Knox County, and it just quickly became 20%, 22%. Roane was at 22, but I think y'all settled for less. Is that correct?
We did. We were able to offer all of our employees some additional benefits and what they pay for their health insurance.
Right.
So we just really came to a compromise. What made it difficult was the timing.
Right.
But we were able to come to a compromise and get that done in April, and then that budget just carried over into this year. So basically what we did was take what would have been a tough negotiation in May and June, and we did it all in April.
Right.
And got it done, and it just carried over into this year.
Well, and the net got higher. I mean, basically, if you're paying less for something and you go up here, you're still gaining net they're getting more and more benefits because they were able to lower their costs, right?
Right.
Okay, that works. Tell me, let's just go around the county. There's a small portion of Oliver Springs going in towards Dillis that's in Roane County.
Yeah.
Is there been any events or happenings in that community or anything down there?
Well, working with Mayor Stiltner and his staff, Windrock is such an economic driver. And
are we getting enough out of it? I mean,
I think there's an opportunity to capitalize more, and that's what our discussions have been about.
Right.
What can Oliver Springs do? They're in 3 counties.
Yeah.
So it requires all 3 counties working with the city to really optimize the benefit that Windrock can provide to all 3 counties and the city of Oliver Springs. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Oliver Springs certainly realizes that, and I think all 3 county mayors are willing to work together to help make that possible.
Is the Windrock itself and the trails in Anderson or County?
I think the majority of the trails are in Anderson County. The entrance, you go through Roane County to get to the entrance, and then part of the entrance is in Morgan County. And
That's right.
yeah, it's truly a tri-county effort.
It's been a boom for like Scotty and New River and some of those people renting out their hotel, but doing some stuff in Anderson. So I know it was a long thing, but how many people go through there? I mean,
I haven't seen the numbers.
It's got to be thousands, right? I mean, they fill up every hotel down there.
Yeah, it is a huge economic driver for the area.
How about O'Harriman?
So Harriman's seeing significant growth in commercial.
Wow.
They've truly capitalized. Years ago, they invested in infrastructure at the Midtown exit, and they've been able to grow that exit. Mayor Best is doing a fantastic job with his team on economic development and the retail side of things, and that's driving revenue, so they're able to renovate their downtown. They're bringing events to the city. Harriman is really leading the way in Roane County as far as economic development goes on the commercial side of things. It's setting a tone that we're all trying to the other cities are trying to follow, and we're all working really well together to do that.
Do you see, I mean, I know the area really well, but do you see, I'm driving on Midtown and the exit up there, you just got to go down over the hill and you're in Harriman. Mm-hmm. But if you go straight out 4 miles, you're in Rockwood, you know the deal, back to Kings. Well, Midtown, although I think they would consider themselves independent, but would you see it more as a part of the economic plan, or is it more of a Harriman community?
Well, I mean, where the commercial base in Midtown is in the city limits of Harriman.
Where they
Kingston's annexed where they butt up to the city limits of Harriman there.
Yeah.
So there's a portion of Midtown proper, I guess you could say, that it would be in the Kingston city limits, but it's not truly commercialized. And Rockwood doesn't come far enough up to meet the Harriman city limits. So you've got a gap in there that's a county.
Yeah.
So there's opportunities for all of us. And working together, we're trying to come up with a plan that really helps optimize that and drive growth. I mean, so you've got 3 choices to fund government, really. You can raise taxes, which nobody wants. You can cut service, which nobody wants, or you can grow. So we're all focused on trying to grow in ways that are acceptable to our people, that don't change our quality of life, which bring services and businesses that we want, and that's able to help us pay for services that we provide to our people that are more and more expensive.
Growth, yeah, that's for sure. Growth requires infrastructure.
Right.
Do we have the infrastructure in the Midtown area to build, or do we need more?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we have the infrastructure to do what they're planned now, but we're always looking at ways to become more efficient, to take infrastructure to areas that we want to develop in the future.
Right.
City of Harriman just completed a strategic planning process to look at some of those things and what they want to do there. So I mean, we're on a great track to bring new business into that area. That will provide a lot more revenue and help them grow in ways that they want to, provide services in ways they want to.
So we go down over the hill from Midtown and we get down into the main road between Rockwood and Harriman.
Yeah,
the
Highway 27.
Highway 27. You're pretty famous, et cetera, et cetera. Tell me about how that seems like a great area for growth, simply because it's flat, it's long, and I haven't been here 8-10 years probably on that road, so I don't know how much has grown. Walmart was the key 25 years ago, but everything else. But what's going on down there?
So that's the Cardiff Valley, through there, and you've got as growth continues to occur, then those cities begin to move closer and closer together. The city limits do actually meet on Highway 27. They don't meet on Highway 70,
really?
But they do meet on Highway 27, right at Patton Ferry Road, where you turn to go to Rome State.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize Rockwood came that far out.
yeah, they both meet right at
Or
Patton
maybe
Ferry Road.
I'm saying that backwards. Maybe I didn't realize Harriman came that far out. I don't know.
Yeah, they sure do. So the biggest things happening in Rockwood are they've got a brand new marina and RV campground at Tom Fuller Park, which is going to be a terrific economic driver. And then we're starting to see, because of the flat rock development happening in Westall,
Right.
in Cumberland County, a lot of potential development at the Rockwood Airport.
Sure.
Associated with the flat rock development. So between those two really bookends that could help provide revenue to the city, over time that should able to help them fund downtown redevelopment, which I know is in their interest as well.
Yeah,
so it's more of a longer term effort, but they've got a lot of good things going for them in those two things.
A lot of those, each one of those towns has a different personality.
They absolutely do. That's what makes Roane County unique. You've
That
got
is what makes
truly
it.
6 different communities.
Yeah.
Oak Ridge included, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and Oak Ridge doesn't. We're going to move around to there before the end of the show. But you're building up in Rockwood. Harriman is more historically dated. Is that a good word? I mean, they're more.
Well, but
they look like they're still in 1920 if you drive through the town.
They've done a phenomenal
1950s.
job of renovating downtown.
I haven't been recently.
They've taken the revenue that they're getting from the commercial in Midtown, and applying that to their downtown.
I see.
Buildings and the facades, the infrastructure there. They're doing a great job of renovating downtown, and it's
a historic town.
It's a very historic town. Obviously, it tells a unique
Temperance,
story.
yeah.
But they're doing a great job with events and what they're doing to make downtown a place for people who live in Harriman and all over the county who want to come to.
Yeah, and I think people coming through on the interstate, if you do a good job, there's a lot to be said for exiting off at 347 and going into Harriman and seeing some of that history.
Right.
But I don't think you know from driving by that history's there, but that's something they can develop.
No, but that's tourism development. You know,
That's
as you tell your story, and Harriman has a brand new website they're using to help do that, to teach people about the town that Temperance built. So people stop and they go into the new Temperance building, and again, that help using events and festivals and those kind of things to draw people from the outside to again help tell that story, get people coming shopping here, potentially come and relocate here or look for jobs here. That's economic development really at its core, and Harriman's doing quite a bit of that through tourism development.
Is your tourism a county tourism?
It is.
So they have responsibility for tourism in all areas of the county.
They do, but you know, all the cities play a role in that as well, of course. So
If I remember, isn't it up by the lake somewhere?
the Roane Alliance
Yes.
is who the county contracts with to do county-wide tourism development,
Right.
along with economic development, industrial development, and Chamber of Commerce. So the Roane Alliance works with each of the cities and the county to provide those stories. It's really a marketing arm for the county,
Yep.
but also to be a partner in events and festivals and that kind of thing, sponsor.
As we come up the hill from Rockwood and we go on up there, then you see the lake and the state, whatever, I guess it's a state park, could be a local park.
County park, Roane
County
County
Park
Park.
on the right, yeah. I mean, that's just a gorgeous area up there.
So county's got almost 600 or almost 700 miles of lakefront.
Yeah.
You know, it's Roane County. It's one of the frustrating things being from Roane County and loving it like I do, is that people just don't understand how unique a place it is.
Yeah.
You've got a county that's got an interstate with 7 exits through it. You've got 700 miles of pristine lakefront. You got the world's largest science and energy laboratory. You got the only nuclear site in the world that's been fully decommissioned.
That's right.
It is an incredibly unique place in the world, not just in the state or the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. And we'll go back to the water first and all that mileage. I mean, you go around, then you got to get over now we're going to come up over the hill, go by the pizza place. We're going to get all the way up back into Kingston and downtown. Tremendous lakefront. You talk about properties and developments. I bet I know over the years, me personally, 15 to 20 people that have moved to Kingston to live on the lake when they retire. I remember Jackie Pope did it and some other people did it. And just amazing. It's amazing how many people go to that lakefront, and it's beautiful. I've never spent much time there. I really never did. As a high school student, maybe a little bit, but I'd go up there for a weekend or something with some friends. But I don't remember ever. But when you go over the bridge and you're going from downtown Kingston over towards, Midway, that's just a beautiful place.
Yeah, I mean,
How many people live on the lake, would you say?
I don't know. I don't have a residential a number of residences on the lake, but I know it's growing almost
growing?
daily. Absolutely. I mean, it's not just Kingston. It's everywhere where there's a lakefront property that you can get to by road. There's probably a home site there, and it's obviously our most valuable sites.
All right. Brad, let's take a 2-minute break, and we'll be right back.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Wade's being patient with me. Here we're on Between the Lines, and we're going around the county geographically. Easiest way for me to understand what's going on in Roane County. So we came over the bridge to, how is Kingston doing, per se?
Kingston's doing well. We're, I talked to Mayor Neal this morning, as a matter of fact. As we talked about how Harriman has approached the Midtown area, Kingston has a unique opportunity there with the Galahar Road area.
Yes.
As you look at trying to again, as we talked about, all services and expenses for running a government, just like they are running for a business, are going up. So you've got to drive growth in ways that you want to be able to pay for the things that you have to pay for.
That's right.
So Kingston's got a unique opportunity in Galahar Road in that corridor all the way to the Oak Ridge city limits.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. But, Kingston's doing well, seeing quite a bit of residential growth, new home construction.
In the city there?
Smith Built has purchased a tract and looks to build at some point in the future to add a couple hundred homes, I think. So, with the lakefront there, obviously they're going to have value in those homes, but there's not a lot of lakefront left to build on, of course. But Kingston's doing well.
Yeah. Longville, come out that way, a lot of land, a lot of stuff. Well, one thing we talked about, and the mayor and I and my good friend Sean Gleason and I have talked, very complimentary of you, have talked about is, man, the preserves just, they can't put them down fast enough. I mean,
I live
we
there.
got there? 6. Do you live there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I sure do.
So we got 600 homes out there, 500?
Yep, well, probably closer to 600 now. They're putting about 100 a year. Looking at some multifamily residential coming up soon, and eventually, once they cross a certain threshold with the number of residences right around 1,000, then you're probably looking at adding some commercial entities out there as well. But ultimately, we're headed towards a development with about 10,000 people in it.
Fastest growing area of any of these borderline counties. It's made for a lot. Now, is the preserve is in the city of Oak Ridge?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it's Roane County, Oak Ridge. To be fair to everybody.
But I mean, people think, it's maybe right on the edge. It's 12 miles from my house to the Henderson County line.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. It's deep into Roane County.
It's deep into Roane County.
Yeah. Oak Ridge, people don't realize with the plants and expansion in the 40s, Oak Ridge goes way out there.
It's huge. I've got a map in my office that shows all the boundaries of the city limits in the county, and you add up all the city limits of the other 4 cities in the county, they don't equal the amount of real estate that Oak Ridge takes up. Now,
Federal
most of it's on
reservation.
reservation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Federal legislation took that. It did that. Let's talk a little bit about that. You're active. You've worked in the area. You've done things. Fleischman is very proactive in these things, Congressman Fleischman. Are we getting the transfers? Is the cooperation among everybody to bring more people in? I know that when I talk to Sean and other people, Sean, you know him, he can draw visions for 12 hours with you. But the idea of bringing in a new M&O out there, of bringing in major development, major contractors, thousands and thousands of more jobs, is everybody pretty much on the page? Is that?
Well, we're working on that.
I know.
So I was in December at an ETEC meeting. Commissioner McWhirter of BCD was the speaker, and he was talking about the success of the project that located in Clarksville in Montgomery County. It was LG, I think, but it was a $3.5 billion project. And Commissioner McWhirter was talking about how the president of LG had told him that they chose Clarksville as their location ultimately because of how aligned the community was from the city level, from the county level. You know, the Army bases there, all the entities spoke the same language. You know, we're all on the same page. And I'm sitting there in a meeting, and I've been involved in Oak Ridge long enough to know, that, you know, the secret city legacy prevents us from really working together as closely as we should. And there's not been really true alignment when it comes to economic development. You've got a lot of people, a lot of entities with economic development as their mission, but not a lot of communication in between. So I took that message from Commissioner McWhirter and reached out to the City of Oak Ridge, Anderson County, all three IDBs, all contractors, the federal contractors, DOE, the Chamber, ETEC, Crowett, all of us to get in the same room and say, okay, can we agree that we're not necessarily aligned in economic development? And there was obviously broad agreement throughout the room that that's the case. Mm-hmm. So that's a big first step, that we can at least agree there's a problem, right? Well, the next step was, can we agree that we will be much more effective if we work together on this? Again, you got broad agreement in doing that. So, but now the real hard work begins. Once we understand that alignment will be much more effective in helping us do exactly what you just described, in helping build out the reservation from a commercial perspective or industrial, but private at least, that it's going to take all of us working together to do that. So we are in the infancy of those stages, and Sean plays a significant role on behalf of the City of Oak Ridge there to do that. Yeah. We've got a meeting coming up here in a week or two to do some strategic planning, bringing all those entities to the table to say, okay, what are our next first steps? And ultimately what we're trying to do is unite as a community to ask DOE for one big transfer of property that then we can decide on, okay, who and how are we going to manage this?
Define big.
That's one of the things we have to do. But we are
big enough to do what is a better.
We are site poor when it comes to industry.
Oh,
you know, in Roane County, we had 2 years ago we had 3 state certified sites.
Right.
Those 3 are all gone. They've been sold. Triso X is one of them.
Right.
So we're looking at hundreds to potentially 1,000 acres to recruit companies to. There's a lot of interest in the nuclear community in locating, not just in the nuclear industry, but especially in the nuclear industry, to locate here. But we're site poor on being able to offer many choices for where they can locate. So working together as a community with DOE to define what the best sites potentially are for transfer, and then, of course, letting the city lead that effort to transfer in the best way. That's what we're working through right now. Got a long way to go, but everybody's at least agrees that we need to work together to get there.
That's an important first step. If you don't, it's kind of like the table in Vietnam. You got to get around or square. Everybody's got to feel comfortable with what they're doing. Let's talk about the airport as part of that overall plan. Okay. You know, I've worked with Sean and others on this, and I've got a good feel for it and done some work in other states. I think the value for me is it attracts industry, especially in the medical isotope industry, that would come there if there was an airport they could access in 45 minutes or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Are there other benefits to the airport? I mean, what does the airport really do? And what are the negatives, if there are any?
So, I mean, the benefits obviously are to be able to have access. You're opening access to another potential target audience to market your community, with which to market your community. So whether that be trying to locate industry nearby the airport that that could use the airport to their benefit, or whether it be recruiting headquarter type facilities, entities that want to be near Y-12 and Oak Ridge National Laboratory, those are your benefits. And that's been the thinking, I think, all along, going back 15 years, to why an airport would be beneficial to the community. The negatives there are that the amount of real estate that it is taking. When we're site poor,
right,
and we're looking for real estate, we're giving up several hundred acres there, right, for the airport. So it's a trade-off.
Right.
And the city of Oak Ridge obviously has chosen to go this path, and to support the surrounding community has supported that initiative. I know it's been supported at the legislature, obviously, and even at the congressional level. So,
what's the estimated cost of the airport? What would you say it's going to cost? $50 million?
I think it's very difficult to say right now. The numbers that we've gone off of, in an era of inflation in the last couple of years. If I threw something out, it'd be pretty arbitrary.
Don't do it. Yeah, I got you on that. It is located in Roane County.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We come back when we talk about what kind of planes can use it. 2 minutes, Brad. We'll be right back.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
Welcome back. We're talking to the Roane County Executive. Wade is helping us understand some things going on. We're talking about the airport in Roane County, which is on the west side of Oak Ridge, basically. Tell me how, it's not a commercial airport.
No.
It's a private airport. It can handle jets, obviously, or it wouldn't be very functional. Certain level jets. I'd have to get with Jones or one of my guys to see how they fly, or somebody tell me how big it is. But there would have to be a terminal and all of that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, if I owned a private plane, could I use that airport, subscribe, or become a member?
Yes.
Okay.
A general aviation airport with hangar lease space.
Okay.
Just like downtown Island Home Airport
Right.
in Knoxville, it'd be a very similar situation to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we talked about some people don't really need it and some people do, and what it attracts. It's kind of tricky how much money you put into them. I had somebody come up to me in National Fitness, known the guy for years, can't remember his name right now, but he was a science guy, and he says, he said something about Chuck, and he said, can you give me a meeting when you sit down? And I said, we'll talk to you anytime you want to. But he said, I want to go over why we don't need an airport and how it ruins the legacy, and kind of interesting. Nobody's ever said that to me, the legacy and tying everything, that the airport would disrupt the mission in some ways. And I don't know what he was talking about, but it's not a cut and dry deal.
Well, in any project, there's trade-offs.
That's right.
And there are very few projects that are truly win-win-win all the way around. There's almost always a cost associated in some way to the community, and whether that be residences that are close by that don't necessarily want it in their backyard, or whether it may be, and I'm not talking about the airport specifically. I'm talking about any project. So, that's the hard part as an elected official, that you've got to make tough decisions, understanding that it's going to come at a cost to some degree.
Everything does.
And you weigh those costs with the benefits, and you make the best decisions for what you think are the best decisions for your people, and move forward with it. And this project's no different than that.
If you take the preserve and we talk about, you can go in closer than that, the country club and all of those areas. Is that the fastest growing area?
Oh, no question. Yeah, absolutely.
West Oak Ridge, fastest growing area.
Yeah, I mean, you're like talking 100 homes a year, an average of 3 people per home. So you're 300 people per 300, adding 300 people to the population just in one neighborhood.
That's 3,000 in a census cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. So, and I believe that they'll probably get there a little bit quicker, because when they start adding multifamily residential to the mix, then you're obviously can go up much quicker than that, which haven't been a part of the mix so far, but will be, I think, very soon.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's just, remember the initial Rary Ridge and remember everything that happened
for so long.
It was gone.
Now, again, as we just talked about, there's trade-offs. So that's great for growth. It's great for revenue, for the county, for the city. But again, it comes at a cost. So you've got to be ahead in thinking about what infrastructure. Right now there's not infrastructure for 10,000 people there.
No.
So we've got to be ahead, but very, very strategic in our planning to make sure that we have the proper infrastructure where it needs to be, when it needs to be there. Everything from roads, water, sewer, schools, commercial, obviously, to make sure.
We're going to talk about schools here in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that, again, it's great to have that growth. Obviously, we want to see as much revenue come in as possible, but we've got to be thinking about what we've got to spend to help drive that growth.
When I look at schools, and I talked in depth with the superintendent on the show, I think that you're going to have to build a school out there by the preserve. I mean, Linden can't absorb all of that,
right.
The elementary school stuff and high school stuff. If I grew up in the preserve, do I have an option to go to Roane County High or Oak Ridge High School?
Yes, but if you want to ride the bus, you're going to come to Oak Ridge schools. Yeah, the bus is in the preserve. Obviously, it was within the city limits.
Right.
So
there's a little more services available if you go to Oak Ridge. If you want to come to Roane County, you're going to have to drive a car or get driven or whatever.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera. How many students in Roane County High now?
Roane County High?
Yeah, guessing.
About 650.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Oak Ridge is sitting right about 1,450.
Yeah, so almost 3 times the size. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, but when you're talking about a city size of, over 30,000, and Kingston's almost 6,000, so.
Kingston seems bigger than that, though.
Well, that's city limits.
Yeah.
So the area of Kingston obviously is much bigger.
And what's the biggest, by city limits, what's the biggest town in
Kingston?
Kingston still at 6?
But Harriman and Rockwood are not far behind.
Yeah.
But again, like you say, the area that considers itself Kingston is quite a bit bigger.
Okay, so a school gets built somewhere in West Oak Ridge, somewhere out there in those lands, an elementary school.
Okay.
It's Oak Ridge school system,
Yes.
I guess,
Absolutely.
in Roane County.
Right.
Okay,
If it's in the city limits, it absolutely is.
all right. So how would absorb the growth? So you would have really no play in that at all, except
If it's in the city limits and it's Oak Ridge schools, then no.
Yeah, charters and everything else. I get it. Okay.
But we, as a county, we're beginning a strategic planning process in a couple weeks, and obviously, we'll be choosing. It won't be just focused on everything all the time. It'll be very picky in what we're going to focus on in that strategic planning. Where do we want to grow residentially? How do we get infrastructure there? When do we get, and how do we get infrastructure there? Well, so the schools are going to have to obviously play a role in that as well. When they develop their own capital improvement plan, what needs to be built, where, how, when, all those things have to come into play. So, no one knows what that will look like when that plan finally comes to fruition. Mm-hmm. But you've got to imagine that part of that plan will include building schools over the next 50 years where the growth happens. So obviously not within city limits if there's city school districts, but you've got to accommodate growth no matter where it happens.
We in Oak Ridge have a feeling that all of the infrastructure that's being developed in the west is being paid for us in the city because they raised rates and a general election. So now we're 20% up in water and sewer and everything, and we know it's not. We know what it is because to meet the city's financial obligations to build and expand in the west, you got to charge the middle and the east. It's a little controversial. We can't get our potholes.
But hopefully growth, the revenue realized over time and growth will help compensate for that and drive rates back down.
Yeah, most of us will be gone.
It's idealistic.
Most of us will be gone.
It's idealistic, but that's the goal.
No, that is the goal, and that's always been the goal in economics. I mean, that's the way it works, But the bottom line is, if we can get it done, we have such an aging infrastructure in Oak Ridge. It's horrible.
Well, it's a common issue everywhere. All of the cities in Roane County, and talking to the mayors and city managers, all of them face the same issue. You've got infrastructure that was developed for the first time. What we're dealing with is legacy infrastructure, that lines that were put in the first time that really have either been patched but never really replaced,
Terracotta
for example.
stuff, yeah.
And now we're at a point in time where patching is no longer an option. Well, that comes at a significant cost. So every city, probably across the state, is facing the same issues.
When I used to, again, I've done a lot of political. When you go over the bridge leaving Harriman, like you're going down to the straightaway there, also. There's a subdivision up on the hill on the right. Nice subdivision. You go over a little bridge.
Yeah, West Hills.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
But they never seemed to develop. It never got built out, or I don't know what I was saying.
I think it built out to the extent that it was ever going to.
I liked it, though. I thought
it's a very nice neighborhood. I've got a lot of friends that live over there.
Yeah.
It's just that Harriman hasn't seen the city limits of Harriman hasn't seen new residential growth in quite some time. But now we're on the verge again. Capitalizing on the revenue generated from the commercial growth in the Midtown area, they're able to invest in infrastructure, and they're looking at putting a new residential development on the northeast, on Highway 27 towards Morgan County. So that would be the first residential development in quite some time, but now for the first time in a long time, it's a possibility. Rockwood looking at a very similar situation.
Where do you get a preserve-like build-out somewhere else in the county? That's what I'm talking about. Not quite that large, but you know what I'm saying, where you can
a few hundred homes.
Yeah, you subdivide a couple hundred homes, get a developer in there, and you fix them up, and you're selling homes for $170.
That's exactly what we're looking at.
Not $470. Yeah.
Well, and what we haven't talked about, but what's driving that is the continued net inward migration from other states. We pay very close attention, look at the data from building permits, for example. What we're seeing in Roane County building permits is that the number of building permits relative to last year total is almost exactly the same for this point in the year.
Right.
However, the number of new construction building permits is quite a bit down, and the number of permits for pools and decks is quite a bit up for a net equalization. But what that means is we're not seeing near the movement of local people moving because they're locked into low interest rates in their homes, and you can't move. You're not going to trade a 3% for a 7% interest rate, mortgage interest rate. Yeah. So everybody's kind of locked into where they are right now. So all the growth that we're seeing is coming from other places who are moving here.
Well, and I think I was in 17 or 18 counties in 22 in different kind of polling and research and stuff. And I went to people and I'd sit down with them and they say, Alan, we've had 14% growth in registered voters in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And none of them are coming up through here. They're coming from all over the country.
That's exactly right.
And it's interesting because people that are moving into Monroe County or somewhere else tend to be conservative.
Yeah.
And people that are moving into Nashville and Chattanooga and Hamilton tend to be more progressive and from Seattle and different areas. So you see this mass migration into our state of all kinds of people, a great polarization of people, but it puts demands on you.
Yeah, it does. And that's exactly what I was talking about. So as we continue to grow, you've got to be very strategic in looking at how you have to invest in infrastructure, or else you aren't prepared for the kind of growth that you see, and you have to be reactive instead of proactive.
That's right.
And you always spend more money when you have to be reactive.
That's called in everything, life, college, children.
So that's where we are right now, really, as a county and as cities, is trying to understand where we are, where we need to be, how to get there to accommodate the growth that we're seeing, so that we are being as proactive as we possibly be and never have to be reactive.
We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about Roane State a little bit. What's going on out there? Is there any growth? I'm hearing college applications are down, maybe not in community colleges and everything else. Brad, let's do it. 3 minutes.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Thank you, Chandler. Welcome back to Between the Lines. Everything Roane County tonight. We're getting it done. We're talking about everything. Move back to Oak Ridge. Now we're going to go back past Kingston and talk a little bit about south of the river, one of our most fabled areas, best area. You got to love south of the river.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Where'd you grow up in Roane County?
I grew up in Kingston.
Well, south of the river, you go through Kingston, you go over, you just kind of go downtown and rise back up the hill a little bit and see the lake on your right, and you head out that way, and you're heading south, right?
Yeah, I mean, on Highway 58, headed south, but the Midway community south of the river, very proud area.
Love their sports.
Yeah, well, they do. And my son is on the golf team and the baseball team for the high school, as a matter of fact.
Right.
But, yeah, my wife taught high school math there at Midway High School for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so Midway community is very important to me. We're there just about every day right now.
Is that right?
Driving from Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
But beautiful area,
yeah,
too.
You never leave there.
It's growing quickly because of new folks coming in and moving from outside the area, a lot of lakefront growth, but just growth in general. Yeah, south of the river's got a lot of potential. We're actually working with the City of Kingston and Watts Bar Utility District to bring sewer service across the 58 bridge to be able to serve south of the river.
Yeah.
And
development
follows sewer. If you don't have sewer service, you can't develop.
Nobody's going to build.
Residentially, commercially, industrially. So we're working on that. We think it'll happen in the next months to year or so, hopefully. Right. And that could definitely change.
How far will the sewer run?
As far as Watts Bar Utility wants to take it.
I mean,
so potentially to Meigs County. Yeah.
But tell me this: Meigs County's down here at the end of the south of the river, and you got Kingston here. How many miles is that stretch, roughly?
Probably close to 20.
It is a long way.
To get to the Meigs County line is not quite 20. I mean, 10 Mile obviously is tiny, small community at the lower end of that. It's a little bit more than 10 miles. To get to the county line is probably something like 12. I've never looked at my.
How far is Midway from Kingston?
No, I can get to Midway High School from the courthouse in about 12 minutes.
So it's further. It's more than halfway down.
Yeah. No, because Midway you got to turn at the junction. It's Highway 72.
Yeah.
It's about 5 minutes from there.
Yeah, you got to go off the road. That's right. I forgot that. It's that. Great people. Just look at the difference in the culture. It's amazing. So that's great. So you could actually take sewer if the utility wanted to all the way down.
Yeah, well, I
but
think
we're going to Midway, right?
Eventually is the plan, is to get to the areas that they want to develop residentially, potentially industrially, although that's not really been a conversation. But if you look 50 years down the road, you could see something like that happening. There's a lot of developable land on 58 as you head south.
Yeah, I've written TIPS grants and some other stuff in infrastructure, and sewer's not cheap.
No, it's not.
Man.
It's an investment.
Where are they running? 8-inch?
You have to ask Mickey Barger that question.
Mickey knows.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting that done. Let's talk sports. Let's talk about Roane State first. Tell me a little bit about Roane State.
Sure.
Because all we know is Oak Ridge, Roane State.
Well, I'm an alum. I almost literally grew up at Roane State. My mom and dad both worked at Roane State. My dad started working there when I was 5. He was director of financial aid.
We're talking about your Roane State and Harriman, right?
Roane State, Harriman, yeah. And so he was director of financial aid, and this was actually before Roane State Oak Ridge even existed. But he drove the bus for the baseball and the basketball team. So I was at every game, went on road trips with him. He was a PA announcer too. Yeah. So that was part of my childhood. I know parts of Roane State in those buildings that probably not many people have ever been inside. So I'm a proud alum of Roane State. Obviously, with their service area, they've grown to service all the counties in their service territory. The programs here's what. I am a proud alum for many reasons, but one of the reasons I'm most recently proud of them is the fact that how responsive they are to the needs of community when it comes to business, and the fact that they partner so closely and have such a great working partnership with Pellissippi State to really meet the needs of industry that's in Oak Ridge, especially your federal contractors. So, Roane State provides programs that will provide a pipeline of workers in one particular career, like chemical operators, for example. Pellissippi will provide a curriculum and pathways for another very critical piece of the workforce in Oak Ridge. And together, you talk to your federal contractor leadership, they'll tell you how important that ecosystem of community colleges is to everything that they do. Without it, I don't know where we'd be. And
the state's done a good job with that.
They're doing a fantastic job with it. But the leadership of Dr. Creswell and Dr. Anthony Wise at both those institutions means so much to the workforce development of this region, and Oak Ridge benefits from that as much as anybody.
Here's what we told our families when we, this is 10 years ago. If you want to prep data, computers, other things, and go on to a 4-year degree and do things, you need to go to Pellissippi. That's what we would tell them. But what Roane State was always did well, better than Pellissippi was, if you're a 29-year-old single mother and you live in Scott County or you live somewhere else around here and you want to get trained to make a living in some kind of vocation that means something, you need to go to Roane State. They got the programs for you. Those were the discriminating kind of views, and what you're telling me is pretty much...
It's way broader than that.
But that was a mission statement, I guess.
Yeah, that may have been perception at the time, but I think they right now look at both institutions, and I can't speak for Pellissippi because I haven't really ever represented them in such a way, but I know enough about the situation to know that it's true that both institutions are looking at the needs of the workforce community, of what the needs are throughout the region, and they're very strategic about what pathways they offer the people of our region to follow to meet those critical careers. And there's very little competition for those programs. They're very collaborative, and they
it
build
made no
on
sense
each
to
other.
duplicate.
Right. So there's no duplication of efforts there, which is great for the region.
Right.
Yeah. So and of course they both serve different different territories. Now there is one area of crossover in that health sciences in Knox County is provided. The education is provided by Roane State. In fact, they're building a brand new health sciences center right across the street from Park West Hospital with Covenant as a partner and with TCAT Knoxville as a partner. So great example of partnerships working together to do something great for the region and fill a critical need for nurses and allied health workers.
And all of those people, because it is Roane State, are tuition free.
Can be, yes, absolutely, are eligible for that. I want to actually say,
I understand.
absolutely.
It's not
eligible for
you don't get your ticket
tuition-free funding.
I got you. But I guess what I was saying is the law that allows kids to get their first 2 years free, whatever that means, most of it free, in the state, that would apply to all the programs?
Yes.
There'll be accessory costs.
And including Reconnect, too, which applies to adults, not just students coming out of high school.
Right. How many students at Roane State? 3,000?
Well, no, it's you're catching me with
just roughly.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably closer to it's system wide. I think it's probably closer to 5. But
what do we have? What do we have? We have Oak Ridge. We have the main campus in Harriman.
You got Loudoun County, Lenore City.
Okay.
You've got Fentress County, Scott County, Campbell County.
They actually have offices up there. Okay.
They have campuses in each of those.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm probably forgetting one.
That's okay.
Cumberland County. They have an incubator in Cumberland County.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How does your government interact with that? Do you have much to do with Roane State? Do they need you for stuff?
Well, yeah. Talking about county government, particularly from a leadership perspective, I'm responsible for the economic development of my county.
Sure.
And we delegate the daily tasks of developing the economy to the Roane Alliance, but one of my jobs is to ensure that all the pieces are working together to develop our economy in the way that we want it to grow. And Roane State is a critical piece of that. TCAT Harriman is a critical piece of that. So, and they're such willing partners. So getting them to work with industry, to work with our county school system, to work with, obviously, our economic developers in the county at the Roane Alliance, being the shepherd of all of that is my responsibility. It's not necessarily my daily task,
right,
but I'm responsible to make sure that it happens. And we could not do it without Roane State and TCAT here.
Let's talk just the last 5 minutes about stuff I'm much more familiar with, and that is, how's your relationship with County Commission? You're going to say good, but
no, it is good. It is good. We've been able to accomplish a lot. They had 6 new commissioners.
Okay,
how
many are over there? 18, 15?
15.
That's right.
Yeah, so we were babies on there together, and we had a lot to learn at the same
in Anderson.
time.
8 new ones in Anderson.
And learning is never just a linear, straight line. It's ups and downs and hills and valleys. But we just passed our budget on June 29th. Right. I was really proud of what we were able to accomplish in that budget. No tax increase. We were able to give employees 5% raises in an era of inflation, and So we were able to accomplish a lot of things. We learned a lot. I think we learned how to work together, and I'm excited about working with them going into this year now that we have our hands around how to operate together better.
You know, it's kind of self-incriminating, I guess, for me, but I'm on this show, and I think your number 79th show that I've done in 2 years, but we've got to get a new generation of leadership. I've told everybody, you can't. Our judges were, I think, 71 years average, and now it's down to 51 in one term.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of young judges elected and appointed, and I think that's the key. If you get some young people on commission that grew up and understand that, I'm not saying young, I mean 59 or under. We just don't need people in their late 60s and 70s to make decisions, and they're set in their ways in a lot of time, and they don't want to innovate. And so I think that helps you.
Our mix of commissioners from a demographic point of view, or from an age perspective, is pretty broad.
Yeah.
We had some younger commissioners elected. I think we are pretty diverse, and it brings a lot of perspectives. But to your point, voter apathy, I really do believe is one of the dangers to not just to our local communities, but our country. And I know it's always been a challenge to get the younger generations engaged in the political world, but it's so important to get people to understand how important every single vote counts, how important their opinion is, and engagement in the process. Once people, when you see, this is one of the funnest things to watch, but as I work with some of these newer commissioners that I have great relationships with, is seeing that people go into an understanding of when you first engage in the political world, of you think things are one way, and then after you spend time in an issue or really digging in and learning, you see things from an entirely different perspective. That takes engagement.
Yeah.
And if we have whole generations that aren't engaging, then we're losing true perspective building.
You know, and the world's changed with the cell phone. I mean, politically, it's just, I can't imagine. I had 30-something clients last year, and I would go in and I would sit them down, and they were so discouraged. You know, everybody starts out, we're going to change the world, we're going to do this and this. And I said, no, you're not. But I mean, I want you to always feel that way. But I said, I use this example when I teach. If you're walking down the sidewalk, and there's a 72-year-old grandfather, his 42-year-old daughter, his 39-year-old son, and their children, you can just take those four and move them to the side, but you better shake that senior's hand,
right?
Because that's who votes. And now, if it's November, it's different. You know, I mean, now the age drops way down. But you know, people that make decisions are made in primaries and local elections, and as you say, it's a 25 to 30% vote, and the average age is 68, 69 years old. And that's what's got to change a little bit.
That's definitely what has to change, and it changes by making government more accessible, more relatable. You know, social media, for all its ills, is a tool that we can use to reach more people.
Yep.
And I think we have a great opportunity to do that. We've been focused in the last year on trying to increase our level of communication to the county government and utilizing social media to do so. We've got a long way to go, but we have made some progress.
When you got elected, I think it gives us hope that people, and you've been engaged on different levels of business, you know, Roane County, different things. I think we need people that can lead 30s and 40-year-olds, people coming in that don't know anything. We need people with visions that share the same visions that some of these 40 and 50-year-old young people share. And I think people are very high on your leadership, and I hear good things. I mean, I wouldn't tell you that if it wasn't true.
Well, thank you.
And I think you got a chance to make a difference, and you work with people like Sean Gleason and others, and you guys can get some things done. I won't see it.
Well, that's the goal. Hopefully you will. You know, I can't say whether I'm doing good or not, but I can say that we're working really hard.
No, that's all. That's all you can get out of it. That's all we can get out of an elected representative. We don't expect them to solve. Just listen, dialogue, put people who can do things in good place, and it's a management job. That's what it is. And you're doing a great job. And I think, and just especially in a county where, as you said, water defines it, and it's so big and it's so long. And in Anderson, we joke about. My wife was born and raised up in the hills of New River. And that's a whole nother world. If you've ever been up there on 116, it's just another world. First time I ever went up there, I called my best friend and said, if you don't hear from me in an hour, you come get me with everybody. You know, it's one of those things, you know, but they're such different communities. And I just think you seem like you have a grasp on each one we went over, and there's possibilities, and you got to listen to them. And nobody wants to pay taxes, but they want $300,000 for their house.
Yeah, but that's all because of relationships. Because there's such good people in each of those communities that have been good to me and supportive of me. It's helped me open doors and build real good relationships with them. And we're truly just getting started in each of those areas. Continuing to build stronger relationships, developing a vision together, and then working together to chase that vision.
You know, if you really listen to people, and I mean really listen to them, usually they'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, even if they don't agree with you, they'll be okay. It's not being listened to and not having any input
Value.
in the government.
Yeah, show people that
That's
they
right.
matter, that they have value,
That's their vested. That's right.
and you can build relationships off of that.
That's it. Well, I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Alan.
I appreciate you, and keep up the good work. And if I can ever help you, let me know.
Sure.
Thank you, guys. Between the Lines will be back next week with Michael Foster.